Welcome to Seattle, home of the Seattle Seahawks, where the 12th man is alive and in the building.
Time now for Seahawks Central Radio, hosted by Jamie Nicole, Football Girl, and Kevin Norman.
We go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night, we'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us, like the ceiling can't hold us.
Seahawks! Okay, I don't want to blow yours out too bad. Welcome to Seahawks Central Radio. How is everyone this week? We've got Jamie on the line.
Wow. did you like drink a 5-hour energy or something?
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. Well, then you're going to carry this show.
All right, we're going to jump right into it.
Okay. We got Heather. Heather Lloyd.
Hello.
Hi.
That's an impressive open. I like it.
Did you? I was just
up.
going to ask your opinion because I kind of like yours.
I really like that though. I like the music. It gets you going. It's I'm at Eastern time. It's 10 o'clock here, so I needed that little perk up. That was great.
I know. Well, I guess we should tell everybody that Heather Lloyd is the host of Pigskin and Pearls, which is PFC family. So we're like related.
We are related. Exactly. The football girls. We've got our shows. I talked to the Texan Central Radio girl earlier this week, JT.
Yeah.
She was good, and as her and I discussed, we're taking over the world, and we're starting with Pro Football Central Radio. So
yeah, I think I'm going to join that fleet of.
You're in it. You're in it. We already put you in.
That's awesome. So speaking of intros, did you make your intro yourself?
Someone at Pro Football Central.
That's awesome.
Brian has a connection, and someone put it together for me. Yeah, he says he doesn't sing, and I had nothing to do with it. I don't think he directly had anything to do with it, but he hooked me up with it, and I like it. I told him give me Bon Jovi meets Katy Perry, and that's what he came up with. So I like it. Bon Jovi
meets Katy Perry. That's a good hybrid, I think, right there.
Apparently, he hired Bon Jovi's cousin.
Exactly.
That's
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, the reason that we chose Macklemore is because he's so prevalent to Seattle, so it just made so much sense to us to do that.
I gotta tell you, that is one of the stadiums I need to go to a game in, because I hear nothing but how loud it is there, how great the fans are there. When the Colts were playing the RCA Dome, we kind of claimed the loudest stadium in the NFL, and it was loud. It was really loud, but I still hear it's nothing compared to out there. So,
well, Heather, if you ever come up to Seattle, you can stay with us, and we'll take you to a game, and it's gonna be awesome.
I need to do it, and the Colts and the Seahawks do play week 5.
Yeah, but
I know, but it's here. I know, exactly. So you're welcome to come here.
I might do
that. Yeah. Anytime you guys want to show up here, we'll go to a game. But yeah, I do need to get to Seattle, and I need to see your stadium and see a game. So it doesn't even have to be the Colts. I'll watch any football game. So
yeah, well, you're welcome here anytime. But you have to wear Seahawks gear though.
I can do that. I like Russell Wilson. I like Russell. He's a good dude. I could wear a Russell Wilson jersey, no problem.
You know what? You will blend in. Let me tell you.
Might be a little rough if you don't wear a Seahawks jersey.
I bet.
Yeah, we're not as bad as some fans, but
we're not Oakland, but
I went to an away game at the Chargers, and that was a little brutal.
Yeah, that's probably no. You can actually walk out of the stadium at night here, so that's good.
That's a good thing. That's a really. I don't think I'd walk outside at the Raiders stadium during the day. So the black hole. I'm not going anywhere near the black hole. So
did you? I don't know if you know, but I have. I make parody videos, and I just made one about Raiders fans actually, and I will have to send it to you because I hate the video, but everybody seems to like it.
I will have to look at that. I knew that you made videos. I'll go to your site though when we get off here. I'll take a look at it. That's fun.
Don't judge me too much. Like you can still come if you think I'm ridiculous. Half of Seattle does also.
That's all the more fun.
Right. So I have to say though that I'm super jealous that you got to interview Mama McNabb.
She was really cute. I wanted to hug her. Really, she was a fun lady. She was really cute. I was thinking the other day when Donovan officially retired as an Eagle, that she must have been very, very teary and very proud. So she's a nice lady. And, I think she did a really good job raising her son. I really do. He's, no matter how the fans felt about him, Donovan was a stand-up guy. And, I was a Donovan fan when I was at Syracuse, actually. So, but he is, I think he's he's always represented himself well, represented the Eagles well. So he's out now, and God knows who's going to be in there at the Eagles now this year. So that's going to be interesting. Lots of fun stories at training camp right now.
What? Is it just me, or is this season's training camp just it feels like it's on rev. I feel like there's so many people that have so many stories all of a sudden. I don't feel like there was this much coverage last season. You
know what's funny? This year I have NFL Network on all day right now because I want to see what's happening at every camp. It's so funny.
Yeah, I love it. Weird. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a good year for everybody. We'll see.
It is. There's a lot of really interesting storylines, though. There's going to be a lot of really interesting position battles, and I can't get enough of it. And I was thinking about you all when we got the news of Percy Harvin's injury this week.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Gosh, he's such a talented player, and he's always had some issues. It just seems like every year there's something that, some health issue that comes up with Percy Harvin. And I mean, I got to tell you, my Vikings fan friends, I grew up a Vikings fan. So my Viking fan friends on Facebook were gloating like you would not believe. You guys would be sick if you saw what they were posting.
No, I saw some.
We have Twitter.
You did on Twitter, for God's sake, right?
Yeah, right. And I mean, we have different opinions about it. So, I mean, it just, it depends. It's geographical. The opinions depend on where you are, I guess.
Of course they do. On the other hand, here's what I'll say, though. He's 25 years old. The guy's got a long career here left. So, I mean, it's not like I throw the baby out with the bathwater yet. I mean, nothing's done. But, I hope he gets back, gets healthy, and, and ends up being a great player for you guys. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Kevin and I both feel like this guy isn't falling. And we've had this conversation a million times. He was a luxury for Seattle. I don't think that it was necessary.
He's not. No. Well, look what you guys did last year without him.
Right.
It's not
we had the same personnel that took us to the playoffs last year. So, and when hopefully with this upcoming surgery, when he heals, it will be right before playoff push. So, you never know.
Yep. But he is a dangerous player, though, when he is on. And, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't write him off yet. I had a long chat with the injury expert on my podcast this week, and he was someone we touched on a little bit, but every team at some point is going to have a devastating injury this year, and hopefully that was yours, and you're not going to have more. So.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Exactly.
Well, the thing is that if Percy Harvin comes back week 10, week 11, I mean, you've got teams that aren't ready for him to be on the Seahawks roster.
Absolutely.
They don't know what he can do. That blows up a whole new game plan, especially if we can make it to the playoffs this year.
Yep, exactly. He can come out the unpredictable, the offensive weapon. They haven't seen practicing. They haven't seen playing, throw everyone off guard. He'll come back.
Sets it up for us. Yeah, it kind of sets it up for this, a story. I'm excited.
It does.
Honestly. We'll see what happens. I knew he was going to get surgery.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, right now, go through Twitter every afternoon. Every team is losing someone at some point in preseason, and a lot of them already have. So
right, that's true.
It's brutal, but it's all part of it.
Seems like the skeletons are coming out of the closet once that training camp opens. So there's a lot of stories coming out of everyone's training camp.
There is. Yep. Like I said, I mean, you kind of have to keep NFL Network on all day today. We had the Riley Cooper thing today for the Eagles.
I know. And Kevin didn't want me to talk about it, but I still wanted to.
Well, here's all I'll say. The Eagles have been hit really hard in training camp. They had 2 ACLs. Now they have the Riley Cooper thing. I thought all the Eagles talk was going to be around the quarterback position. Is it going to be Michael Vick? What's Matt Barkley looking like? You got the Chip Kelly offense. And boy, it really has been everything but, because they've got so much other drama happening. So
it kind of
crazy.
Is drama. And I did see a tweet that was like, we were just joking, har, 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 in the end of, this whole bounty issue, whatever.
Oh, yeah. So. The reappearance of Marcus Vick.
I know. Was it $1,000? I think was this bounty.
The bounty.
For,
yes.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Marcus Vick is going to appear at some point in the season. I just didn't think we'd see him in the preseason.
That's true.
It's a little early for a Marcus Vick appearance, but
yeah, well,
hey, football's back. That's how we know football's
I was just gonna
back.
say, apparently the season's already started because it was pretty funny.
It sure has in Philly anyway.
No, not at all. So I have actually a question for you. I've listened to, obviously I'm a big fan of your show, but I wanted to know what your funniest interview story was.
Oh, interesting.
Because we haven't really had anything too crazy, so I wanted to ask someone who had more time on the
funniest interview story. That is a really good question.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? We interviewed the JT, who is the SeahawksCentral person.
Okay. Yeah.
Yesterday, she kicked off. She actually debuted her show on Pigskin and Pearls, which was great. We welcomed her to the Pro Football Central family, but she came on and said she was somewhere quiet, to do the interview. And as I'm interviewing with her, it sounded like she was doing her interview in front of a live audience. It was really loud behind her. I don't know if she was at a Starbucks. I didn't get a chance to ask her at the end, but it was really loud. And yeah, it sounded like she did her interview in front of an audience. So of course, Brian sent me a little note during the interview. I thought she said she was somewhere quiet.
That's funny.
So that was kind of funny. I'm like, I think she did it live. I think she kicked off her show with an audience. Good for her. So that was kind of entertaining.
People, like invitations.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was picturing her waiting for her coffee at Starbucks. So that was kind of funny. And then my first interview, actually my second interview, was David Cantor. He's got a show now on Pro Football Central, the NFL agent, and he was a riot. If you don't talk to him at some point, get him on your show, do an interview with him. He is incredibly entertaining, but he is exactly how you would picture an NFL agent.
That makes me excited. He
hyped up on coffee at 9:00 in the morning, talking a mile a minute, driving his car, stopping to tweet, or no, I'm sorry, stopping to text. I'm begging him, please pull over, and so I'm like, oh my God, let's not have like a live car accident as I'm interviewing, So he was actually very entertaining also. So
well, he was supposed to be on the show today, but we're gonna put him on next week, I guess, because
you will really enjoy it. He's funny, he's fun. I mean, it will be an adventure interviewing him.
That makes me happy because you know how it goes sometimes.
But really, for the most part, everything's been pretty smooth.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'm sure by the end of the season, I'll have a few more exciting, funny interview stories. But so far, so good. So far, it's kind of been interesting and fun and entertaining and all of that.
I'm definitely going to check back with you probably at the end of the season, or even when you come to Seattle, or when we come to Indianapolis.
Yes. Any of those. Maybe we can actually we can do our appearance together in the same place. We can do it at the Pigskin and Pearls studios in my basement.
Right, or we could do it in our Seahawks Central Radio. Either way, it doesn't matter.
My living room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but I will have, once we get into the season a little bit and see how things are going, I definitely want to get you guys on the Pigskin and Pearls show too, because we're gonna have a lot to talk about early in the season. It's gonna be fun. As crazy as exactly. As crazy as the preseason has been, I think the season's going to be nuts. I think it's going to be really fun and exciting, and I want to get you guys on my show early on too, because I think the Seahawks are going to be interesting. They're going to be a force.
Oh,
I don't think anyone wants to play the Seahawks right now.
No. Yeah, that's good. I'm in this weird situation with the Seahawks where we're now forever we've been we want the spotlight. You know what I mean? Everybody's sleeping on Seattle. We are a force to be reckoned with. And now that we have the spotlight, I'm like, this isn't fun. I want to go back to being the underdog, or I want to go back to buying my tickets not at $1 million.
No, you know what? It's interesting you say that, because you're right. Once you get to the point where you're where you always wanted to be as a football fan, there is pressure. There is. Yeah. I mean, it is definitely a different game once your team is that team.
Well, and the Twitter
and you guys are. Yeah. It's interesting though. actually had the fortunate situation that most of the time that I've been a Colts fan, they've been a great team. But you know how I remember a couple years, and one of them was the last year that Peyton played for us. Mm-hmm. We were not that team. You know, it just, things weren't going that well. Our season wasn't that great. No one had any expectations for the Colts in the playoffs. And Peyton Manning said that a lot. He said, I kind of like it this way because we're off the radar screen. You know, we're approaching the playoffs from a different place, and that's not the place that we usually are, where people are ready for us, you know? Right. It's kind of the opposite. And unfortunately, that year didn't end up great for us anyway. But it is. I think the players approach it differently. And even from the fans' perspective, there's pressure when you're, you know, the team that everyone is out to get.
Right.
I mean, look at the Ravens right now. The Ravens are going to come back the Super Bowl champions. And they've lost a lot of players. And everyone really gets up to play you when you've either, you know, you won the Super Bowl or you went far in the playoffs, and you know, and now you're there. And that's what happens is these teams get revved up to play you, and it's kind of a different game. But
right. Well, I mean, that's with you guys too, you know. And I think it's anybody who went to the playoffs, but especially the Ravens and especially the Niners. Like the spotlight is definitely going to be on those two teams more than anything else. And with all the controversy that's going on with the Niners and how their quarterback, how lovely their quarterback is. Yeah, they're definitely going to be.
You mean how lovely he is without clothes?
Yeah, I don't like him, so I could take it. You know what? Whatever. I'm not a fan.
I don't like him without clothes on either.
There you go. See, it's really difficult for me because I'm like, that guy is such a douche, and then he's naked, and I'm like, oh, he's just a naked douche. Like it doesn't make a difference to me. Still
he is super tattooed. He's super in shape. I will give him that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's That's really all we need to say, really.
Yeah,
right?
we could just end it right there. Well, you did hear that week 2 when we play them, we entered the Guinness Book of World Records application for the loudest crowd roar at that game.
Exciting. Fun.
Yeah, it is going to be exciting. Tickets are insane. I think I might have to sell a kidney in order to get there, but
it'll be worth it.
Do 300 ticket about? Yeah.
Yeah, in like 300 level.
We're going to be outside the stadium yelling.
Yeah.
You can always get another kidney, though.
That's true. I'm sure somebody would donate. Yeah.
You missed that game, it's gone forever. You can always find another kidney. I'll give you one of mine if it comes down to it. If you're
Yay! Good. She's like, it's a good cause. She went to.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Yeah, it's true. It's gonna be awesome. Well, if you can get up here for week 2, you can come with us.
I would love to. I will get there at some point. I'll give you that. And you know what? You guys need to venture out to Indy at some point too. And
I do.
A lot of great stadiums. I would love, and I'm telling you, if I could ever make this happen, I would love to do a season where you see a game at every stadium.
I was just gonna finish that sentence for you.
Oh, that would be. I mean, honestly, that would be.
If we won if I won $1 million somehow, like I won the lottery, I'd have to play. But if I ever won the lottery, like that would be something that I would do, I think.
Maybe we can get Brian to get a sponsor for us.
Brian, our producer, yeah.
We can do it for Pro Football Central, and we can podcast from every stadium in the NFL.
ESPN. Like I'm sure it would be a big story somewhere. Like
sure, we can
especially since
we're
women. Yeah.
Sure. There
Brian's
we go.
Gone quiet. Our producer's not talking at all.
You have to kill that monkey again.
Yeah, Kevin. So, do you play fantasy football at all?
Do we what?
Do you play fantasy football?
I do play fantasy football. I love fantasy football.
Oh man, I'm so scared. This is going to be my first year.
Do it. Do it. You'll have fun.
It's like, football girl, she sucks.
No, you need to do it. You know what? You'll just have fun. You'll follow players you know nothing about and know a whole lot more about them when it's over. It is just a really fun experience. Are you joining a league, or are you going to have a league? What are you going to do?
We've been thinking about on the football-girl.com having a league of just, the staff members there.
I think you should do that.
Yeah.
I think you should do that.
The only thing that's that is that we have, that website, and so if I come in last, I will not live it down ever. Like that will be the subject of every conversation I ever have for the next season.
And I'm not going to go easy on you either, being your brother.
You won't come in last. Put it this way, if you just substitute your players out every week, you will not come in last, because there will be someone in your league that doesn't do that, and they will come in last. There's always the person that doesn't get that people are out. There are bye weeks. There are players that get hurt, and they won't sub out every week. So you'll beat them for sure. You will not come in last. I promise you.
Because I know that PFC is going to be doing a league with like hosts and writers that I might not join this season until I figure out what all this verbiage is about. But I might just call you and be like, Heather, what do I do?
See, a lot of years I have a couple teams too. It gets kind of confusing, but it's fun.
I did
we did last year that was really fun. Last year, I did a family league. Like our whole family. It was my husband, my stepchildren, my parents, my sisters. We had everyone. Even my stepkids, mom and dad, or mom and stepdad, aunt and uncle. We had this whole group, and it was hilarious. We had so much fun. We're gonna do it again this year. And then I'll probably do like the PFC one too. But it's kind of fun to have a couple teams, because at some point in the season, if your hopes are dying on one, you still have another team in there too. So
backup team. That's a good point. Well, yeah, we have grandparents. We could probably.
Oh yeah, get family in. You'll have a blast. Yeah, I actually just last year was the first time I've really limited the number of Colts players that I take on my fantasy team. Because I'm already cheering for them. I've already got a vested interest, and I'm emotionally involved
attached
in those players anyway. So I kind of like to make my fantasy team other players, and maybe just take like one Colt. So
I have like a loyalty problem though. Like, and it really is an issue. Like, I won't go to Best Buy and Lowe's, or Best Buy. I won't go to like Lowe's and Home Depot. I'll only go to the Home Depot. Like, I just have. So the whole concept to me seems a little convoluted in my life, but we're going to try it.
You know what's funny? You can actually have your ethics, though. Like, I actually will not draft a player who I don't like. I won't take them.
Right.
Because I don't want to cheer for that player. So.
Like, could we know who a player you don't like is, though?
I had a long-standing policy, and I still haven't. No, I broke it last year. I'm sorry. I had a long-standing policy that I wouldn't take a Patriot on my team.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
I'm friends with a Patriot player, so.
Do you? Interesting.
I do. I have a friend who currently plays for the Patriots. I'm actually maybe visiting Boston in a couple weeks, so.
Oh, that's exciting. Here's the thing, though. You know what happened? We had the Colts Patriots rivalry for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of drama, and it was very draining. And what happened, interesting though, is after Peyton Manning left, and we kind of started over with Andrew Luck, and the whole Colts Patriots thing kind of went away. It's that was kind of more the Peyton Manning Tom Brady thing.
Yeah,
So last year, in watching the Patriots, I really don't feel it that way anymore. I really don't. I actually wouldn't say that they are my most hated team anymore. In fact, I can't say really there's a team in the NFL that I don't like anymore.
Oh,
Is that funny? Who's your most hated team?
The 49ers. Oh, yeah.
It's a rivalry thing? Is it a rivalry thing? Is it a personal thing?
I think it's a rivalry thing, but I think it's especially, like, on fans. It really as much as I hate I can't use hate, but as much as I dislike what Kaepernick is doing compared to other quarterbacks his age, and I really think he should grow up, there are some really good players on that team, but it's the fans. And if you ever come to Seattle, you will see it, because for some strange reason, there are so many San Francisco fans up here, and they're mean to us. They're really mean.
And that's a rivalry. That's a good rivalry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't you feel like it's kind of fun to have a team that you really dislike?
Well, it's not football without rivalries.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you got to have that one, and like I said, the Colts Patriots was a big one. That was, that went on for a long time. And now I'm kind of at the point where I feel like I don't really have that at this point. But I get it. What do you think of Jim Harbaugh? Are you a Harbaugh fan? Obviously, if you hate the 49ers, you're probably not, right?
And it's, you know what? No, not even a little bit. Like, it's more. Okay, so I had a big problem actually with Tom Brady and Harbaugh because of like the temper tantrums that would
yes.
throw. But then I watched Kevin made me watch the Brady 6, and I was like, oh, you know what? Tom Brady's not that bad. But I still feel the same way about Harbaugh. And I honestly think that if you put a video in front of my face that showed me the reasons why he's such like a crazy person, that I would still be like, Harbaugh's a dick. Like I'm not a fan.
Yeah, see, I feel, especially this offseason, something funny happened this offseason. When the Patriots took Tebow, first of all, I was like, okay, you know what? I kind of like that, actually. Like, I think Bill Belichick, I've always said this. I still think Bill Belichick can outcoach anyone. So when they took Tebow, I'm like, well, I kind of like that. If anyone can figure it out, it's probably Belichick. And then I feel like with the whole offseason, I really feel like the Patriots have been humbled. And watching Bill Belichick's press conference, listening to the players at training camp the day that they reported and all that, I feel for them now. Now I'm like, you know what? I do not have a dislike or a hatred for the Patriots anymore. I think it's been a rough off season for them, and they've really been humbled. They're not those Patriots that I disliked so much before. Now Harbaugh, I love, because I love the fiery coaches. I must have watched that. The video someone put together with him having the full out meltdown on the field. I must have watched that 20 times the day it happened. Really? I mean, crying, laughing, the Sharpie flying around his neck, almost put his eye out. I mean, that was priceless. I love guys like that. And Harbaugh kills me. I've always said, when you watch the 49ers play, half of it is watching Harbaugh. They should have a Harbaugh cam on him during the game, because he is so entertaining to watch.
It is true. He does. It is entertaining, but I still don't like him.
But he is a little childish and a little immature.
And his brother isn't. So that's what's...
No, oh my God, no.
It's different. They're like polar opposites almost.
They are night and day. Yeah.
They absolutely are night and day.
Yep. So, well, that's gonna be a fun rivalry this year. I mean, even I'm excited to watch. So much. There's so many good games, so many good matchups, and that will definitely be a good one though.
There is a lot of matchups. Well, I think it's time for a break.
All right, we'll be right back. Thanks, Heather.
You guys, it was a blast. Thanks for having me.
It was so much fun. We'll talk to you
on my show. I'll have you
we'll be on your show, and then you'll come to Seattle, and then we'll go there. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. I wish you all the best within the preseason with your team, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
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 On it.
Football fans, looking to get healthy this year? Now is the time, and I have the perfect place for you. Save 10% at onit.com/football radio. Exclusive PFC radio listeners save 10% off their order. That's onit.com, ONNIT.com/football radio.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we've got Vincent Frank on the podcast. He's a featured columnist at Bleacher Report, head editor at eDraft Sports, and co-host of eDraft Radio. Fantasy football for Pro Football Focus, PFWA member, Sonoma County, California, ProFootballNets.com. Welcome, Vincent.
All right, man. Have fun reading off my Twitter profile.
Dude,
it's bad that I memorized it. Don't worry.
Great. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
All right. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. You're a Niners fan, so.
Well, yeah. I used to be a really bad homer, and I've turned over a new leaf. So.
You've turned over a new leaf. How did that happen?
I don't know. Now that I write nationally, I can't really be a homer.
Right. That's
so
true.
I'm opening my eyes a little bit here.
When
like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. So.
Nice. You just earned a point. One. That's hard to do on this show. So.
Jamie put you on blast early there.
I did. Well, I kind of had to, because what people didn't hear is during the break we were kind of talking smack. Yeah. So how did you get started writing for Bleacher Report anyways?
Well, you'll love this. I was writing for Niners Nation, of the SB Nation blog sites, and the head guy over at Bleacher Report contacted me and said, hey, did you want to write professionally? And I obviously said yes. That was about 2 years ago tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Well, happy anniversary.
Thank you very much.
So then what is eDraft Sports?
eDraft is a combination of a fantasy sports site and a general sports site. It covers everything from regular football to fantasy golf, believe it or not.
Fantasy.
And,
I didn't even know there was such a thing as fantasy golf.
I didn't either, to tell you the truth, before.
Something in the world. Is that like a pastime of yours, or just it just happens to?
Fantasy golf, I don't touch at all. I edit the articles and I move on.
That is so crazy. Like, I have to Google this later because I kind of think you might be lying. Fantasy golf.
Dead serious.
How do you draft somebody in fantasy golf?
It really is a thing. I'm telling you.
No, I mean, I do believe you.
I have no, honestly, I have no idea. I make sure the grammar is correct and the spelling is right.
And that's it?
And then I move on. Yeah, and then I move on.
That's hilarious. I have to figure out this fantasy golf thing. Maybe I can do fantasy golf and then get into football. Because I don't do fantasy football. I'm scared. So.
Are you going to do fantasy luge?
Luge? Fantasy lacrosse? Is that a thing? Can I do that?
Fantasy curling?
Fantasy gymnastics. If it's in the Olympics, it's got to be a sport, right?
Oh, I'm taking Gina.
Oh, no. This is awful. We should just start. I'm going to fantasy everything. Seriously.
Exactly.
Everything that we do now is just a fantasy. Fantasy grocery shopping? Let's do it. That's funny. Well, okay. So, you're a 49ers fan. This is fun. So, do you think that the 49ers or the Seahawks, I guess I should do this the other way around. Do you think the Seahawks or the Rams are the biggest competition for the 49ers in our division?
Oh, that's not even close. Seattle. We do a power ranking at eDraft, and one is San Francisco, two is Seattle, and I'm telling you, when I put my picks in there, I was very close to putting Seattle one. So
it's a really difficult rivalry because the two teams are doing so well. I mean, it really is.
And you have to like the players. 49ers fans that say they don't like Russell Wilson, I don't know what they're talking about. How can you not like that kid?
I like him.
And conversely, I don't know how people can't like Colin Kaepernick. He keeps on getting a bad rap by the media. And, the media is the same media that played out Tim Tebow to death. And he's a good guy, too. I've talked to Kaepernick, and he's a good guy.
No, I would definitely have to take your word for that because everything that I've seen would lead me to believe in the other direction. And, I guess you do have a point. Like, I've never met the guy, but I don't know. I'm not a fan.
See, and that's fine, but a lot of 49er fans are the same way with Russell Wilson, too.
Right. Yeah.
And,
but, I don't see... Go ahead.
No, to me, if you're a good quarterback and you do everything right on the field, you're a leader, and you do everything right, then there's no reason not to. I mean, we'd rather have a Tom Brady. No offense to the Patriot fans, but Tom Brady, his ego is way beyond him. Wearing a Yankee hat on the streets of Boston, that's harsh.
Wait. But what about the Dolphins hat that Kaepernick was wearing not too long ago? It's kind of...
He wasn't wearing a Seattle Seahawks. He was not wearing a Seattle Seahawks hat.
No, that was actually photoshopped, and I know the person that did it. So just to release that information, I know the person that photoshopped the Seattle hat on Kaepernick. But the Dolphins hat was legit.
Yeah, and he was in South Beach, and he was making nothing more than a fashion statement. The guy owns like 500 pairs of shoes, about 300 hats. It was he should not have done it, and he should not have responded like that on Instagram. But that's neither here nor there. My biggest issue with that is his response on Instagram.
Right, and I think that's where kind of everything went awry in the first place, is because if he didn't pose with that hat, then I don't think it would have been such a big deal if it wasn't
No.
Whatever.
No.
Well,
back to your go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, if you're not a Tom Brady fan, have you ever seen the Brady Six?
I've never seen the Brady what?
So, the Brady Six. It's like a documentary.
No, I've not. Is it 30 and 30 or is it on NFL Network?
I think it's on NFL.
It's an NFL Network, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it's on NFL. I don't remember it being 30 and 30. But so I was kind of in your position at one point. Like, I loathed the guy. Like, I really did not like him at all. And my brother, co-host, Kevin.
That's me.
Yeah. He made me watch the Brady
Oh,
Six.
sibling rivalry here.
Oh, yeah, you didn't know? Yeah.
I mess up her notes sometimes during the podcast, so.
He's a douche, too. Yeah, but I used to watch the Brady Six because as much as, like, I had a hard time with the way that Tom Brady would act, after watching the Brady Six, like, it's not that it's excusable, but the kid definitely has my respect now.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. A lot of people turn over their opinion on him too.
Yeah,
on that.
And I'm one of those people, and I'm really hard to do that.
So maybe I'll have to check that out. But my point is the ego and that type of stuff takes a back seat for the people like Russell Wilson and Kaepernick. And for young quarterbacks like that to be able to lead their teams. Russell Wilson in Atlanta leading them back to almost win the game.
Right.
Obviously Kaepernick in Atlanta and then almost leading them back in the Super Bowl. That you don't see that from young quarterbacks in the NFL. And it's very rare. Tom Brady is an example of one that did that.
Right, absolutely. You're right. Well, so I'm sure you've heard about this Percy Harvin injury. As a 49ers fan, what's your opinion?
With the Harvin injury, I will tell you they're not losing anything because they did release or trade Golden Tate or Sidney Rice. So it's the same receiving core, add Chris Harper to the mix, who I'm a really big fan of. So it's not a huge loss for them short term. It hurts when they did release Leon Washington, so the return game's a little iffy, but that could be fixed. To me, the Crabtree injury in San Francisco is bigger because they're losing their number one receiver from last year, as to where the Seahawks are losing a player that was not even on the team last year.
Right. Kevin and I call it a luxury. It was a luxury pick. It wasn't necessarily.
Yeah, the only thing there is that they had probably utilized a game plan and the scheme around him for the couple months of the offseason, and now they're going to have to backtrack from that. But
which is totally doable, though.
Yeah, that's doable. Long term, it's an issue because they lost their first round pick this year. He was practically their first round pick. As to where San Francisco got Eric Reed, Arizona got Jonathan Cooper, and St. Louis got Ogletree and Tavon Austin.
Right.
So that's probably the only thing I'd look at is they lost their first round pick, and you really have to worry about Austin's injury, Harvin's injury history.
Right. But again, we have the same personnel that we had going to the playoffs still this season, so it's not, again, it was a luxury. Well, speaking of the other teams, in what order would you place each team in the NFC West this season?
This season, as of right now, defending conference champions should be number one until proven otherwise, or unless there's a mass exodus. Like, I have Cincinnati over Baltimore in the AFC North right now. But 49ers are pretty much standing pat with an exception of Crabtree. So I'd say San Francisco, Seattle, St. Louis, Arizona, and I would be surprised to see three teams in that division make it to the playoffs.
So,
could I give you 42 to 13 reasons why you should probably put Seattle above San Francisco?
Oh boy.
I give you 6 reasons why you should probably put San Francisco. I know Seattle, but that's how they do it. 5 reasons. I can't really count last year. So.
Jeez. Kevin's usually the person that, like, I get so heated about, like, the Seattle-San Francisco fight, like, because, I'm in a trash-talking group where it pins us together, and usually it gets so personal that I just have Kevin fight my fights for me sometimes because I get too mad. I start.
See, I'm a college football fan, so it's different for me. Like, I'm used to college football rivalries, which we are a part of the institution that you're rooting for.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a little different for me, is because I'm a Washington Husky.
So am I.
And so for me, like, okay, I'm a part of that institution. I went there in college. I've lived in Seattle pretty much my whole life, but I can't be a part of the Seattle Seahawks organization. So that's why these rivalries are a little different for me.
To me, it's fun.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Seahawks fans that follow me on Twitter, and we get into it, and we're just joking, and other people are like, dude, you guys really hate each other. Like, no, we don't. Not at all. It's better than it was 3 years ago when it was NFC Wars. Now it's NFC Best.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
at least we're fighting about teams that matter now.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Now you can laugh at the Green Bay Packers of the world, seeing the whole Golden Tate situation. You can laugh at.
Go ahead.
I think we can all laugh at the Arizona Cardinals and Levi Brown trying to pass protect for Carson Palmer with Aldon Smith and Bruce Irvin and all those players attempting to go after Carson Palmer. I mean, what's over 100 on Palmer last in the year?
So you don't think that Carson Palmer's a threat in any way, shape, or form?
With Levi Brown protecting him, Levi Brown's going to quit like Tyler Rochelle did last year. He one time Aldon Smith gets past him, or even Cliff Averill, and pack it up and go drinking in Sonoma County.
All right.
Yeah, it's dead serious. Levi Brown was the worst pass protecting offensive tackle in the NFL for the last 2 years prior to being injured all last year. And he's going to be asked to protect against those three defenses in the NFC West? Really?
Yeah.
We're going to have to go out drinking with you, Vincent.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good idea. Kevin doesn't actually drink, but whatever. So tell me about this Rams article that you're writing.
Actually, it's an article about how Jeff Fisher and Les Snead have turned their club around in 1 year and how they're now contenders to make the playoffs.
Nice.
How nobody thought that way. Then to 2011, the last game when they lost to San Francisco, and you saw Spags go off the field. You knew it was over for him. 2 wins, and you're like, oh, man, they're going to be the deadbeats of the NFC West for how many years? And for what they've done, obviously the RG3 trade helped. But what they've done to turn that team around in that short period of time is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. So you think that the Rams are or the media is probably sleeping on the Rams at this point?
They are. It's all on Sam Bradford. He has everything in front of him now. If he bombs out, it's interesting. Sam Bradford played longer in the NFL, obviously, than Kaepernick and Wilson, and now I'm talking about him having to close the gap between himself and them two. If he doesn't, then the Rams are not even going to come closer to beating that division. He has to perform well.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And he's got the weapons to do it now. Before he didn't. And they are minus a Steven Jackson out there, though.
They are, but they have the left tackle, and they have the tight end. They have Tavon Austin.
Absolutely. All right. So then our earlier question where we switched it on you was, do you think that what was it? It was how did you switch that, Jamie? I'm going to flip it back around.
What do you mean?
Basically, who do you think is a bigger threat to the Rams? Do you think it's the Seahawks or the 49ers?
Oh, good job, Kevin.
Yeah, no.
He's like, I'm not answering that question.
I see.
Yeah, they're third place, and it's not even close. Rams fans want to talk all about beating the 49ers and tying them. Well, the 49ers went in transition mode in the one game because they lost Alex Smith. And then the other game, I don't know what Jim Harbaugh was doing, but Greg Roman was doing the triple option inside your own 10-yard line, up by 4, with less than 3 minutes left. Yeah, that's smart. So, it was a fluke with the Rams doing that against the 49ers. Obviously, the talent level is much better in San Francisco than St. Louis and Seattle.
Well, I hear all the time from 49ers fans that the Rams is a bigger rivalry with you guys than Seattle is. Is that something that you would agree with or disagree with?
No. I went to a Rams 49er game in 2011, and it was the game the Niners clinched the division. And I went with 2 Rams fans. And the 49er fans were not. There was no fights that broke out. It was all respect for the Rams fans. So I don't see that at all.
So that you don't feel like there's a rivalry between the Niners and the
They're
Rams?
St. Louis. It's over with, done.
So
when Chris Everett, when Jim Everett was playing.
It's just
for the Rams, it might have been.
Yeah. So, I don't understand what our producer's trying to ask us, but...
So, do you think Arizona might be flying under the radar?
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah, and that's the sense I got from him earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're going to lose all 6 games in the division right there. So
we'll definitely see what happens.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Vincent.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate you guys. I'm definitely on to come on anytime you want me to.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk to you probably week 2.
We will, definitely, in Seattle. And when they play December 8th in San Francisco, it's my birthday, by the way.
Oh, well, we'll talk then. I'm not going to wish you afterwards. We'll see what happens.
We're hoping it's not a happy birthday in the football sense, but happy birthday on that day. Otherwise. Perfect. Well, thank you, Vincent. Have a good one.
All right, you guys have a great one, all right?
Cigar fans, check out fifthdowncigar.com and enter the coupon code PFC to get 10% off your order. Lots of nice high-end cigars. That's fifthdowncigar.com. Enter the code PFC for 10% off your order.
Welcome back to Seahawks Central Radio, everyone. And today we promised a whole segment on the wide receiver core because some of you seem to think that the sky is falling.
I know. It's kind of annoying, actually.
Yeah, so we want to talk about the Percy Harvin injury.
We do.
We're sure that you're tired of hearing news about it, but we want to make sure that you also know that things are going to be okay.
Right. And we have read some technical articles about his specific injury, and we're not going to get too advanced into it because I haven't gotten my PhD yet, and Kevin's not even going to go for his, so I just don't feel.
Okay, well, on top of that, I'm squeamish. So
oh, yeah. I had to read the article because it made him a little queasy.
I got halfway through this technical article about the injury, and I sent it to Jamie, and I was like, this is going to make me throw up. So I need you to talk about that.
But just to give you a little bit, like just to defend you a little bit, there were pictures. It's not just like it was words. Like there was pretty graphic pictures about labrum tears and how they do the surgery and like specific pictures on each step of the surgery and how your ball joint of your hip fits into your socket. And yeah, and Kevin couldn't handle it. So, and the funny thing is he sent it to me and I was like, yeah, no problem. I got this. We're good.
Jamie's less squeamish with that kind of stuff.
I am. Bones, I can't stand bones, but I can deal with blood, guts, and everything else.
So how severe do they think his labrum tear is? Excuse me.
Well, they said it was a slight tear, but even with a slight tear, that's a lot of discomfort for a player, especially a player in Harvin's position that needs his hip for a lot of balance. The way that it works out is that your ball joint for your hip rotates in your hip socket, and there's tissue that makes it slide easily. If there's a tear there or inflammation, that's not going to happen. So even if you were somebody who ran a mile a day, like that tear is going to cause issues regardless. And if you have that tear and you're still using it, there's going to be further scar tissue, which is going to cause further damage. In the long run, surgery was the best. It was a good opinion for this second opinion that he had. It was a good opinion.
So, yeah, the article that I had read, I believe it was on Field Goals. It was a doctor who was a previous military doctor. And he was talking about how, this was before the news came that Harvin was going to get surgery. He pretty much came out and said, Harvin will get surgery. Get used to that fact. And the reason that I'm completely okay with it is that, yes, we gave up our first round draft pick. But if you look at the way that his contract is structured, this year he would be set to make $4.9 million. And next year he would be set to make $13.4 million.
Correct, yeah.
So because of that, I would rather do it now so that, okay, we only waste $4.9 million versus us having him play this year and then the tear gets worse, and then he's potentially out when we owe him $13.9 million. And I believe that the way that the contracts work out, there are injuries exceptions. However, when you're due that much money, I would rather do it the year that the player's not due as much. And this is just for a precaution for his health so that hopefully he has more longevity.
Right, you're thinking long term. And the thing that people don't understand is that if he gets surgery as soon as possible, there is obviously a rehab period. That rehab period, depending on him and how well he can push through his rehab, he will be back right before playoff push. That is when we need him. What people think about when we drafted Harvin is that we need him. Not just Seattle fans, but other fans, is that he was needed in the Seattle personnel. That's absolutely incorrect. He is a luxury, as I've said a million times, for Seattle. We have the same personnel that we did going into the playoffs last year. And the reason, in my opinion, that we didn't win that Atlanta game is the same as Kevin's opinion. It's because of the Leo position, more or less. That was a big component to
We didn't have the defensive line in order to prevent the Atlanta Falcons from scoring because there wasn't enough depth at defensive line.
Correct. So I just don't think that... I think that him getting surgery is necessary. I think that it's needed. And I think that people freaking out so much about Harvin... Okay, so he has a lengthy injury history. Yeah, thank you. That doesn't... He was so excited to play for Seattle. I don't think this is a cop-out. It's actually a serious condition. Cam Chancellor had a slight tear last year. Like, it's something that happens to football players more often than, I guess we really realize.
More often than you think, yeah. And then the other thing to realize, especially with the Minnesota fans throwing this in our face, is that, look, Sidney Rice didn't really play the first year we got him either. Right. He ended up with what I believe, was that the year of his hip surgery, or...
I didn't think it was hip. Was it hip?
It might have been the spontaneous hip surgery that...
Maybe. I don't know why I thought it was knee.
No, currently he's dealing with the knee issue, but previously he had surgery on his hip.
Well, either way, you're right. We didn't play him for the first year that we had him.
And look at how well he did last year.
Right, and we don't have to.
And Sidney Rice was able to take big hits last year.
Absolutely. I think that people are freaking out, and I think it's justified when you don't look at it from a standpoint of being so emotionally attached. If you step back from the situation and, then everybody was so excited to get Percy. Everybody was so excited for what Percy could do. I think that it's the sky isn't falling. People, calm down. The sky isn't falling. We're fine.
So with that, I want to go into my segment, which is a Donald Rumsfeld quote that I always quote about football, and that is, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you might want or wish to have at a later time.
Right, I knew you were going to throw that in there.
Yeah, I always throw that in there because even with the RG3 injury, when people were like, oh, if we would have had RG3, well, you play the game with the team that you have.
Right, absolutely.
And so you can't, it's same with the Chris Clemens situation. You play the game with the team you have. You can't say these ifs, ands, or buts if you would have had that. No, you play football with the team that you currently have, and you make it through the playoffs with the team that you have. Every team deals with it. And so what I'd like to do is take a look at the wide receivers that we currently have to show you that the sky is not falling. And to do this, I want to talk a little bit about the different positions at wide receiver.
Right.
So the thing about Percy Harvin is Percy Harvin can play almost every spot at wide receiver. There are three main spots at wide receiver. There's the X position, who lines up on the line. There's the Z position.
Or split end and flanker. Synonymous.
Yeah. So it's split end at X, flanker at Z.
Correct.
X lines up on the line, Z lines up off the line. If you don't have 7 men on the line of scrimmage, you're going to cause an illegal formation.
Right.
Correct. So one of those wide receivers has to be on the line.
Correct.
Okay. So going off of that, there's a Z formation, which is usually right side, X is left side, and then there's a slot, which is the one that's closest in near the line, the offensive line.
Correct.
So, just so for everyone's education that doesn't have this, these are the different positions.
Are you going to go through left through right, or what are you?
So what I'm going to say is that the special thing about Percy Harvin is that he can play almost any of those positions, including running back. And on top of that, he also did the return game. So the big special thing about Percy Harvin was that he could play all of these positions, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have depth at all of those positions. The only thing to be slightly worried about is the return game. But we have Golden Tate that's going to do punt returns, and possibly Doug Baldwin or someone else who will step up in the kickoff returns.
Correct. And I did want the conversation we were having earlier about him taking the jab. I wanted you to go into depth about that, because that's something remember when we were talking about.
So the thing at the X position in wide receiver that's important is that receiver has to start on the line.
Right.
Now, we have, who's going to be, so it's probably going to be Chris Harper that's going to be at the X position.
Right, that's what I'm guessing too. Yeah.
And that's because of his side, because when you're at that line of scrimmage, immediately when the play starts, the cornerback can jab you, and you have to be able to take that hit and run really quick to make up for the time that you lost getting jabbed.
Which is Percy Harvin. He may not have the size, but he's fast enough to take that jab.
Yeah. So that's why Percy Harvin can play the X position. It's not because he's big enough as some of these bigger wide receivers like Chris Harper, who we drafted in the 4th round. He's fast enough so that if he does get jabbed and he does get slightly knocked down, he can get back up and get in the position.
He can make that distance. Right, he can make up for that distance. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So we do have wide receivers that can still play the X. However, Percy Harvin was going to be moved around that entire wide receiver area. Right. Now, Sidney Rice plays the Z, and that's because he's pretty skinny. If you can push him around because of just how lean he is.
Well, and currently he's getting a blood manipulation treatment, and you're going to have to see, I cannot pronounce this procedure.
So in Switzerland, they do this treatment called it's Regonekine. I'm going to
I
say
don't know.
Regonekine. Anyway,
Regonekine.
That's phonetically how I can say it. So
maybe we know some Swedens that can help us out.
Basically, what they're doing is they're taking a little bit of his blood out of him, and they're injecting it. I believe it's close to the knee. They're basically injecting it back into him so it acts as an anti-inflammatory agent. And the reason they're doing this now is just because that's the earliest they could schedule him, because this is actually a highly sought-out procedure.
So let me get this straight. The reason that they're doing it in Switzerland is because they don't offer it in the United States. However, the NFL is not opposed against this specific treatment.
That's the way that I understand it. Basically, the way that our government works is that these procedures have to be approved. And I don't believe this is a procedure that is approved within the United States, so they do have to go out of country to receive this sort of treatment. And so this was planned. They already knew that this was going to happen.
Well, from what I read, it was a non-surgical treatment, which should be said first and foremost. It's a non-surgical treatment program used to treat osteoarthritis and joint pain, low back pain, and some muscle or tendon issues. The treatment program uses your body's own natural healing components to resolve pain, improve mobility, and restore function and reduce inflammation in your joints.
Yeah, that's actually what I have in my notes. I just need to scroll down. Sorry.
I was trying to, one, jump ahead of the game, and two, be a part of the conversation.
Sidney Rice shouldn't miss any time, and I don't want him playing in preseason anyway, because he does have somewhat of an injury history, so I'd rather just keep him out. He does have good chemistry with Russell.
So hard. He's always falling. I mean, and that's how he plays. Catch the ball and he falls. Catch the ball and he falls. Yeah.
Well, and he also has that wide radius of catching, so because he can jump out of that ball.
And then the momentum, it makes him fall. But I'm saying he's always hitting the ground, so I'd rather him do this now, be able to heal, you know what I mean, so that he can play his position. Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk about Doug Baldwin, who's Jamie's favorite player.
Okay, so I guess, so if anybody knows me, which a lot of you guys do, our media Twitter site finally busted me out, but for a really long time I've been saying that I don't have a favorite player. However, I do, and it is Doug Baldwin, and it's not anything other than the fact that he's just a really great person. He's super intelligent, which is something that I appreciate. He's always has a positive outlook on life. He's very charitable, and his heart is always in the game. He's funny, which is like, I will love you if you're funny. Like, I don't care who you are. I love you if you're funny. Like, that's it. And I mean, not to get, into too much about, I'm not writing love letters to Doug Baldwin right now, but I'm just saying he's a really great guy. And so I finally said something. And then I got busted out by our media page, but thanks for that. Let's talk about Doug Baldwin.
So what I'm going to get into the technical stuff with Doug Baldwin.
That was what I was like, and bring it away, Kevin. I'd rather not talk about this anymore.
So how about you shut up and I'll keep going? I'm just kidding.
Rude. I swear, if you weren't my brother.
Oh, I love the pranks we play on this show. So.
You're just a dick.
So tough.
Keep going. Okay, talk about the slot receiver. Do it. Go. You're so good at this.
Okay, so what many people seem to not remember is that Doug Baldwin had a fantastic 2011 season with Tavares Jackson as our quarterback, as our starting quarterback, I might add. And so, Doug Baldwin had some injury issues last year. He had a separated shoulder early in the season, which most likely plagued him throughout the 2012 season, which is why you didn't really see as much of him in games as you maybe would have liked. And so he had that injury. He's at 100% this season, and he should be stepping up into slot receiver along with Golden Tate. That's one of the positions that Tate does play, but Doug Baldwin will likely be your leading slot receiver. He really stepped it up during the end of last year. If you remember a leaping kick where he kicked the ball up into his hands and caught the ball in midair, that was one of my favorite plays of the season. And so he I think he was over 700 yards on in 2011, and that production should continue should he stay healthy. And I don't see any reason to really sleep on Doug Baldwin because he'll get it done. And he may be returning kickoffs. Golden Tate should be set to return punts, but he may be taking kickoffs as well.
I mean, that's what we've seen in training camp anyways. But yeah, I mean, his head's in the game. He tweets out all the time that he feels better this season than he ever has.
And there was a great interview on Seahawks.com with Doug Baldwin, and there's also another one with Doug Baldwin and Golden Tate together, which were really good. And I really recommend going to Seahawks.com and checking those interviews out.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
So then we'll move from Doug Baldwin over to Golden Tate. And the thing about Golden Tate is that Golden lines up at X, Z, and slot receiver. And he can line up at X because he has the speed.
Right, so he's versatile.
Yes, he is versatile. Not as versatile as Percy Harvin, but he is very versatile. And so in the 2012 season, as you should remember, he had a fantastic year. He has very strong hands. So even those receivers, he's only like 5'10", 5'11". So even those strong, taller receivers, those taller cornerbacks, where's my brain? Those taller cornerbacks that go up against him, Doug has the hands strong enough, as you saw against Greg Jennings, to take the ball away from them.
People don't know you, and they don't know that you don't have a voice.
It was MD Jennings. Sorry, my mind wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. But people don't know that you normally don't have a voice inflection unless you're excited. So it always cracks me up.
Against MD Jennings in that controversial call, the reason that even happened was because of those strong hands that Golden Tate has. Absolutely. Because even going against our cornerbacks in training camp, he's able to still maintain that ball. As even Richard Sherman or Brandon Brown or Jeremy Lane or any of those guys are smacking the ball out of his hand, he still maintains possession.
And we were just at training camp, and we saw Golden Tate
do this multiple times.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he's an amazing.
Yeah, and the reason that some people are a little down on him is because when we drafted him in the second round of 2010, I believe it was that he started out really slow, but he's matured and progressed throughout each year, and now he's one of our better wide receivers. Absolutely. And the thing is, he can play XZ and slot just fine. We've seen him do that throughout all of last season.
Absolutely.
The other note that I wanted to say about slot is the other special thing about slot is they play mostly midfield. And so they have to go up against the linebackers and the safeties, which is a little different than going up against cornerbacks. They have to move around in those zones that the linebackers and the safeties set up. Your cornerback is your more athletic type player because they're pretty much the guy that has to play man almost all the time. So they got to get with their receiver and stick with them.
Okay.
Whereas the slot kind of has to weave their way around the zone or even lose these bigger guys that are coming at them that are linebackers or free safeties, strong safeties.
That was a great description, Kevin. That was really good. I'm not being smart ass too. That was really good.
After you just called me a jerk a couple minutes ago because I was being a jerk.
How many times I'm your brother, I can call you that? Well, guess what?
That's true. I'm the only one that can make you mad. So let's move on to Chris Harper.
Yeah.
So Chris Harper was our 4th round draft pick. He is a big guy. He's big and muscular. So if you remember Big Mike Williams, he was released, was it last year, year before?
I thought it was the year before. I thought it was the year before.
Yeah, I remember having to switch jerseys out, but he showed up to training camp and they were just like, you are way too out of shape. Big Mike Will was a big guy. So Chris Harper is going to pretty much replace that element on our offense because he's bigger. He can play the X position lining up at the line of scrimmage because he can take that jam. And he's been taking those jams in training camp. Okay. And so the other thing is Harper could also line up as Z. But he showed big playability at Kansas State and he was not getting knocked around. I looked at some of the highlights from it and he was taking hits left and right, and he can play the press coverage where the guy's right up on you in your face, and he can fight for the ball. He was double teamed multiple times. He even caught some balls out of triple coverage. So I don't have any worries about Chris Harper taking over that X position. Though he was seen dropping some balls in camp, he seems to have ironed that out over the past couple of camps.
Well, that's to be expected too. I mean, honestly, he's going to have to find his groove, more or less. I know, but I'm saying it's still camp. Like, I mean, if any time you're going to do it then, you know.
Yeah, but you got to expect the best of the best, especially in this situation where you're trying to make the roster.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm just saying.
So there's the next guy that I want to talk about is Jermaine Kearse, because
we
have a big history with Jermaine Kearse being Washington Huskies. I know somebody just said "Go Ducks" that's listening.
What? That did not happen.
Someone said "Go Cougs," whichever.
That didn't happen either.
It's really hard to hear some of those people.
I said "Go Dogs" and everybody was like, I can't big bark. I cannot big bark, and so I came up with a puppy bark, and that was it right there. That was my puppy bark. I can't do that.
When Jermaine Kearse was at the I like that.
That was me.
I like that.
See, now I'm still the only one that puppy barks.
So anyway, the University of Washington runs a pro-style offense, which is very similar to NFL offense. They do run other offenses from time to time, but their main style is pro-style. And you look at Jermaine Kearse and you see the other wide receivers that have been released, and part of you has to wonder, like, okay, how is Jermaine Kearse still on the team? And there's a couple of reasons. One of the reasons because he does play special teams. He's been doing great on special teams. The other is that at the University of Washington, the running back at the time that he was playing was Chris Polk. And Chris Polk took a majority of the ball. So Jermaine Kearse knows downfield blocking. And when you're a run-first offense, you need to know downfield blocking. So the goal for Kearse is not only to be a wide receiver, but he also knows how to block for Marshawn Lynch or Kristen Michael coming in. And that's just because he did it so much in college. If I recall, I mean, he was saying in his interview that was actually today, was that he played every single spot, XZ and slot at the University of Washington. Before I had set that in my notes, as I recall, but he actually did state he did all of those at the University of Washington. So he's very versatile. The biggest concern with Kearse was, while we were watching games at the University of Washington, at least, there was a lot of dropped passes.
Yeah.
As you recall, Jake Locker was his quarterback.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most accurate passing quarterback. Had to iron that out a little bit. Still has to iron that out a little bit now with the Tennessee Titans. But he was one of Locker's main targets, besides Devin Aguilar, who is also Locker's second target.
Who is also a Titan. No, he plays for Tennessee.
Yeah. So Kearse actually broke 1,000 yards in 2010, and he had 12 touchdowns. In, what was that? That's 12 games, 13 games, because then they also went and played Nebraska.
Nebraska, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love that bowl game. Go back in. Sorry. Okay. So the reason that you'll see in Kearse's college year that his production dropped in 2011 was actually due to the talented receiving group that they had, because then Jake Locker left. Kearse played for another year, and Keith Price was his quarterback. So not only were their main targets Devin Aguilar and Jermaine Kearse, they then had Austin Safarian-Jenkins at tight end, and they also had Kason Williams, in addition to Polk, as we mentioned earlier, running the ball. And Polk was actually a good receiving target as well. Yeah, so it was more so that Kearse's production dropped because there were so many other targets on the team at that point. And so he was in camp. Kearse was in camp this past week, and he was beating Brandon Browner on one-on-one drills. This was yesterday. And Carroll did mention that Kearse is a vital part of what the Seahawks are doing. Carroll loves his versatility, speed, and his catch radius, and what he's doing on special teams, which he's supposed to be doing great on special teams. So it will be interesting to see what Pete Carroll's going to do with Jermaine Kearse. And yeah, that's go Dogs. I'm interested.
I'm really excited about it because prior to camp, there was a lot of talk about him getting cut. A lot of talk about him cut. And I know it was all speculation, but there is something to be said about, the majority speculation. And so getting news like this, especially he is a hometown hero. So getting news like this is really exciting for me. And I'm really glad that I get more of Chop Chop.
That's his nickname. He's Chop Chop on Twitter. Was it Chop
No,
Chop?
I think if you watch
it's
Real
Mike
Rob Report. Yeah, it's a Real Rob Report. I don't know why. I don't remember why. I think I knew at one point. But so at some point, he ended up getting that nickname from, it was Mike Robb, wasn't it? And then it just kind of blew up from there. Yeah. Because he's the other white meat. That's what it was. He's the other white meat, pork, chop, chop. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, God. So anyway, so there's something going on with Jermaine Kearse. I mean, you've got to figure, like, they've let Ricardo Lockett go within the time that Kearse has been on the roster. Yeah, so they've got to have plans for Kearse. We just don't know exactly what those are yet. And even today, when they asked him, he said, well, I can't talk about it.
Something's going on. I love it when that happens.
So then the other thing I wanted to talk about was Steven Williams. And Steven Williams formerly played for the Arizona Cardinals. He was drafted 2010, I believe. And he separated his Achilles tendon from his foot.
So, okay, and let me just say that out of all the that had to suck. I cannot imagine. That makes my stomach queasy.
So what it looks like is that with the Arizona Cardinals pretty much churning their coaching staff and rosters, Steven Williams was let go. He seemed kind of bitter about that too, but Williams was let go. But reports are that he's turning heads at camp. He did a leaping grab right over Jeremy Lane. And he is a big guy presence, possibly for the X position or the Z to back up Sidney Rice at that Z position. He's more lean, but Larry Fitzgerald mentioned that potentially Steven Williams could take over for Larry Fitzgerald when he was in Arizona. And that's a huge compliment. Larry Fitzgerald always compliments guys on the team, but he never mentions, like, oh, yeah, this guy, he can take over for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We do love Larry, though.
Jamie likes Larry Fitzgerald. She just thinks he's killing his career in Arizona. So he should come back.
Die in Arizona. He's so loyal. That's a whole different broadcast, though.
The Arizona Cardinals, where your career goes to die.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
So anyway, so he's a big guy presence, more lean, though potentially able to play that X position as well and the Z. So there are injury concerns with that heel, but it looks like there are good things coming for Steven Williams. We'll see how he does in the preseason. I'm actually really excited for those preseason games because I want to see how this kid does.
I want to see, no, absolutely. I was pretty much going to say the same thing that you said. I didn't realize it until I was halfway through my sentence. Yeah, preseason, a lot of people don't take preseason seriously, but you know that I do. So, let's go.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how it goes. And, I mean, these are just the receivers that we have time to talk about today.
Yeah.
There's a long list of wide receiving core, but these guys are actually doing big things, and this is why you don't need to worry about the Percy Harvin situation as much as you probably are. Even if Sidney Rice's knee isn't ready for week 1, we still have guys to back him up and guys that are actually turning heads. You got to remember that these guys are going up what's considered the #1 defense in the NFL right now, and they're able to make catches in those zones, in those passing lanes, over the top of some of these cornerbacks.
Yeah.
So they're getting good practice out there, and they're having to go up against the best of the best.
You're hyping me up for training camp again on the 11th right now, by the way.
I guess you have tickets for the 11th, but I don't.
Yeah, we
I have to go out of town, so.
Oh, isn't somebody getting married?
Well, so one of my friends is having a bachelor's party, but then I have to miss the 17th against what was that? The Broncos.
Yeah,
I have to miss that preseason game because of a wedding. So, if it were a regular season game, I've been like, dude, football. But since it's preseason, don't really have an excuse.
I tweeted out the other day. I was like, I'm not going to anything. Like, don't.
Yeah.
If it falls on a game, no, I'm not going to anything unless you're dying. And even then, how close are we? And then everybody who knows me, if it was a bad situation, they'll be like, I got a couple more hours. So
I've had people calling me that it was potentially an emergency, and it's a football game, and I'm just like,
It's an emergency. I guess, I go on this rant so many times about not having good reception in CenturyLink, but now that we're having this conversation, might be a good thing. It's better to know later. There's other people out there you can call.
I'm just gonna say there were times you or other people have called me when I was in college, and I was like, well, they can wait 2 hours.
I'm not even mad. Totally get it. I probably paid you back a couple times. It's not a big deal. Yeah. So now everybody knows. I'm not doing it. Don't call me. My life, that's football. That's it.
Don't call me unless it's related to what you just saw and you have something important to say.
Oh, no, you can talk to me, but don't get mad if I don't get back to you.
Never mind. Text me that.
I'm just saying, in general. Like, if anything happens this season, like, no, that's not the kind of girl that I am. It's football first, and then maybe you're shit if I want to.
Perfect. So, looks like we've covered the wide receiving core, the meat of the wide receiving core. There's definitely more stories out there. We have to actually take a break. So, what I'm going to say is that, well, I don't know why you're laughing at me, but what I'm going to say is,
you've never been so passionate about something, and you drafted this up, and you're so excited to talk about it, and I made the decision that I was just going to let you go on a rant, and I've been sitting here like, I've never seen you rant this much. It's awesome. Like, I'm excited about it.
So basically, hopefully you learn more about what the different wide receivers do, why Percy Harvin is a very coveted player, but that we have we have guys to fill the slot, the X, and the Z, or also called the split end and the flanker. Those are synonymous. X split end, flanker, Z, and
Z. Yeah, and I don't know why everybody's freaking out. We're good. We're good, guys. We're good.
We're good to go, and we'll be right back.
Football fans, looking to get healthy this year? Now is the time, and I have the perfect place for you. Save 10% at onit.com/football radio. Exclusive PFC radio listeners save 10% off their order. That's onit.com, ONNIT.com/football radio.
Football fans, check out ProFootballCentral.com for all the latest NFL news and analysis. Also, check out the very popular Pro Football Central Radio Network for awesome NFL talk around the league. Go to ProFootballCentral.com. ProFootballCentral.com.
Raider Nation. Raider Nation. Raider Nation. Raider Nation. This is your president speaking. And I approve this message.
That was literally the worst thing I've ever experienced. Sound familiar, Kevin? Does that song sound familiar?
So you made a video last week for footballgirl.com.
Yeah, football-girl.com. Or as you say it, football-girl.com. Just messes me up every time. Yeah, I did made a video about Raiders fans. And part of the research for that was listening to that song, and you got to record me and my candid response to that song. It is like, I never knew that Ice Cube was the president of the Oakland Raiders. I'm disappointed, to say the least.
What, did you think it was Tupac hiding somewhere?
No, it's not Tupac, because I love Tupac. I don't know. I guess Ice Cube is kind of ghetto, so that works out, but... Like, isn't he like on a show or something, like later in life, like CSI or something like that? It's not, Law and Order, I don't know, whatever. Some cop show about something.
So if you could have one celebrity to be president of the Seahawks, who would it be?
I'm not allowed. Our producer says, not Ice Cube. I'd have to put some thought into that. Like, currently I'd say Macklemore, only because you rep Seattle so much.
Macklemore is the president of the Seahawks?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. If you're going to go based on, because, like, Ice Cube's from Oakland, so if we're going to have to do Seattle, I'm not going to say Nirvana. That'd be weird.
I don't see Macklemore, like, checking anyone.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should ask him. Sir Mix-a-Lot, he's from here. Yeah.
Oh.
We do like big butts, so that might work out.
Yeah, him and Big Red on that defensive line.
That's pretty funny. What about you? Do you have anybody else that I'm not thinking of? That's from Seattle. Like, you can't be like someone who's from somewhere else. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean,
we have a limited number.
I know, it's like, who else do you got? You got Nirvana, which
right.
Nope.
He's dead. That doesn't work out very well. What do you got? Like indie bands? Like,
no, I got it. But it wouldn't be. I guess it wouldn't be a musician, so that doesn't work. But
whatever, try it.
Slee.
Oh.
Because he's from Seattle.
Done. Make that a thing.
I mean, but if we're going to say, like, no Nirvana, like, you can't really do Bruce Lee or Bruce Lee's son on that one.
I don't know. There's like a monument at UW, so I kind of got to go with it. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. I think that's a question that definitely, like, you'd have to think about it. You can't just be like, here you go. Not ice cream.
Yeah, okay, so Macklemore's the big thing right now, but I mean, I just see him more so trying to, like, sell you a pair of shoes that he got at a thrift shop, not like...
You definitely haven't heard the whole album.
Well, other comments I can't make.
Oh, well, I'm a Macklemore fan, so I guess we'll go from there.
That
video, though, definitely was probably the dumbest video I feel that I've ever done. And for some reason, we got so much feedback. People said they laughed until they cried, and I was like, really? Really? Because I acted gangster? Like, really? I acted drunk when I pretended to be a Saints fan. Not when I read some crazy Raiders hate mail that was all retardo. Like, no, it had to be when I acted gangster.
Watching you walk around in a bandana, though, and kind of like trying to act thug, I was going through the video clips because we had to do some different takes, and some of them where you were like not very like gangster, and then some of them where it was the same snippet, just a retake of it, where you were like just thugged out. It was like, oh my god.
I channeled my inner
thug.
Oakland.
My favorite was just the end when you rushed the camera, or when I secretly, so I turned on the GoPro while we were playing it's the Ice-T song. Yeah.
You guys just heard and probably puked on your keyboard.
Yeah. So anyway, so I turned the GoPro on to catch her reaction, and that's actually like her reaction to the video when they're talking about like, oh, be afraid of the Raiders, and Jamie's just like, what? No.
Yeah. If you ever want to know what I'm like actually like at home, like by myself or whatever, like then. Yeah, watch the end of that video for sure. I don't know what our producer is talking about because he just said Sarah Palin, and she has nothing to do. I can't even read that whole thing.
Apparently, Palin and her husband Todd are reportedly members of the Seahawks fan club in Alaska.
I'm a Seahawker. Yeah, I am the treasurer of the Kirkland chapter, so I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about that. I didn't even know. It's like brand new. I'm like, what chapter am I part of again? Yeah, so no, Sarah Palin's not allowed because she can see her in Russia from her house. I don't know. We're not gonna even. I don't want to. This is not a politics podcast.
And interestingly enough, Drew Carey is not only an owner of the Seattle Sounders, but also has become a fan of all things in Seattle. And
he's awesome.
Yeah, but
Dude, East Ventura. Enough said.
No, I just remember him repping Ohio for so long. With the Drew Carey show.
Wait, isn't he like a Browns fan though?
Yeah,
too?
I thought he was a Browns fan.
And who really? It's just him. That's like the only.
Well, Drew Carey's big enough to make up. I guess no, he lost weight, so never mind.
It's just him. It's just he's like the only one in Cleveland. Like, go Browns.
It's like, yep, someday.
Our time is waiting. We will conquer. I actually met a Browns fan not too long ago, and I even asked him. I was on Twitter. He was like, "Oh, football girl, like I love your videos, heart." And he was like, "I'm a Cleveland fan," and I was like, "Why?" And he was like, "I don't know." Like the whole response I got out of him. I was like, "I'm being serious. Like I make fun of Cleveland so much. I just really want to know why." Like no response from me. Yeah, I don't know. Just here.
I don't know. Weird things like that happen. Like when we found out that we have a huge segment of Texas fans. Yeah.
The Texans. Okay, so now I have to talk about it. So I get this message randomly, and it's just like, I'm such a fan of you. And, I try to talk to everybody who's a fan of the site. Like, everybody. I don't care. Like.
And this is for footballgirl.com.
Yeah, this is for football-girl.com. And so, I'm such a huge fan of your videos, whatever. And, I didn't even know who it was. I was just like, thanks. Like, how are you? Who are you? And then all of a sudden it comes out that he's management of the Houston Texans. And for some strange reason, he doesn't know how, but my videos landed in there, and they're like revolving. And we forever have been like, who in Texas? Someone in Texas really likes us down there.
Yeah.
To find out Houston's name.
Because we can see where the site hits are, and so we're just like
not like
that.
Cities.
Yeah, no, we see IP address level, which just tells you the city of origin.
Right. Don't scare me. No, don't scare people.
Yeah, if you don't know this stuff, then you need to do research on the internet about the internet. But anyway, so it tells us.
Class. He's gonna start teaching a class.
So it tells us city of origin. So we're just like, these people from Texas just keep coming on to our website. And we have no idea how we got like people in Texas.
And it was like newer. We were newer, so we didn't have the 19,000 viewers that we have now. We had like a little amount, so we could see like, whoa, Texas.
Yeah. So then this management from the Texans is like, yeah, Jamie's videos are just revolving around there. So.
Right. And he even moved to the Ravens Institution, and he's like, I'm taking your videos with me, and I'm like, well, have at it. Like, I'm sure they'll do okay in Baltimore. I haven't made fun of anybody in Baltimore yet. Did you yet? Yet? It'll happen.
We have more videos coming up where Jamie has different characters, so hopefully those will be up when we have time. It's a lot of work to make videos and do podcasts. And
I'm not living in Seattle yet, necessarily.
So if you're a fan of the website, just know we're in a time of transition right now, but we're going to get back to it as soon as we can.
I have a video that I think I'm going to make this week, so
definitely.
Stay tuned.
And we have a couple of big videos planned that are supposed to be high-grade professional quality, and they're planned. We'll get to them.
I'm like, wait, what?
I'm not going to. I'll remind you after we're done with the podcast.
I know which one that you're talking about.
Okay.
When really am I ever professional? I mean, I am professional when I need to be, but not when it comes to football.
You're so professional when you're gangster.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's like, how do I put that on my resume? When people are like, for my job now, I'm like, oh yeah, my brother and I run a website, and they're just like, oh, what website? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember the name, and no, you cannot watch it. And then the job that my newest job now, they found me, and now they just walk around the office and quote me all day long. And at first it was fun, and now it's super embarrassing. It really is to have somebody quote half of the stupid crap that I've said on my videos. It's awesome. I mean, it is. You know how much I love when people quote me. I think it's amazing, but.
Okay, so let's get back to the Seahawks with our training camp experience. Yeah, so we went to training camp on Saturday.
Interview. We got a couple interviews.
Well, we did. We've got a bunch of Seahawks training camp video. It's just having the time to compile that video together. We'll get to it, but we did get an interview. A huge Seahawk fan that's been getting signatures on his Seahawks mural from like pretty much every member of the Hawks.
Yeah. Hawk Papa.
Hawk Papa. Kevin Johnson. Right? That's his name, Kevin Johnson?
Yeah, it's Hawk Papa 84 on Twitter. Let's shout him out.
Yeah, so we went to training camp on the 27th. It was fantastic.
Oh, we had so much fun.
The line was ridiculously long. It wrapped around, so we're at the landing to meet up. It wrapped around the movie theater all the way back to the back parking lot in the landing.
Unfortunately, Eileen went there. Our friend Eileen went there at 5:10 a.m. or some crazy whatever. She's hardcore. Saved us a spot in line. It saved a bunch of us a spot in line, and we ended up getting yelled at by people because we just kept having people join us. But we still got the first bus, which was awesome.
Well, it doesn't change the fact that she pretty much has our tickets, so we're in front of those people anyway. So big shout out to Eileen for doing that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Eileen. Follow her at, what's her Twitter?
Do you want us to put your Twitter on? She just like shrugs. Whatever, it's not a big deal. It's at Eileen, AILEEN 206, as in Seattle. 206. She's actually here. She's our one audience member. So the random Google in the background, that's her. It's not.
And those people just broke into my house. We have no idea where they came from.
If somebody broke into the house, like seriously, I'd freak out.
I'd be like, hold on, we're podcasting.
Can you wait until it's over? That's pretty funny. Yeah, so we went to training camp. It was actually the first training camp I've ever been to. Being, as I live so far south from Seattle for such a long time, it's hard for me to get up here. But now that I'm basically living here, we've been doing a lot more things. We had a good day. And the weather was amazing. I almost cried when the bus pulled. We're like on the bus, like being shuttled to the VMAC, and I almost had tears in my eyes. And I think it's because I've been anticipating football season for so
now
long.
That's a load of bull because you were flagging down people who were driving their car and you were making fun of them.
When was this?
This was when you were on the bus going towards the VMAC.
About when we pulled into the VMAC.
Okay.
Not when we were on the freeway. When I was and I wasn't making fun of. I was totally making fun of you, but it wasn't like mean-hearted. You make me sound like a mean-spirited person. I was just trying to get their attention because I was excited that I was going and they weren't. That's the bottom line.
And that you were the cool girl in the back of the bus again.
I never said that. You were the one that said that. I'm the one that was singing Outcast. You were the one that said that we were cool for being on the back of the bus. And that guy touched his wee-wee. Like, that needed to be addressed. I saw it on a 405, and it needed to be addressed. And they were kids.
If you touch yourself in public, Jamie's going to call you out on it.
If you're gonna have like a nut scratch, we're fine. If you're gonna
a little like lean.
Some stuff is sticking. That's fine. I won't say anything. But if you're down there for a minute and I feel uncomfortable, and it takes a lot for me to feel uncomfortable, I'm gonna call you out, even if I'm on the back of a bus. Like,
We're going 60 down I-5.
Seriously.
We were 405 actually, but
405, and I don't remember the vehicle he was in. I just remember being out the window and like, you know, being the comedy relief of the moment and seeing him do that, and it didn't make me happy. And then do you notice I was quiet? And then we got to the VMAC, and I was like, oh, like, I'm home. It was awesome. It was a good day, and Kevin and I did a really good thing. And I only mention this because maybe somebody can help us. But we met this 5-year-old fan, and we took footage of an interview. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. The GoPro didn't work out for whatever reason.
No, I think we got that interview. It was the interview with Tyler.
Oh, that one's okay. So I got to interview this little girl. She was 5 years old. She knew her football, which was amazing. And we first met her, what she basically told us was that she was there to get Russell Wilson's autograph, period. That was her whole point. She could tell you other players, she could tell you a lot of stuff about it, but that was her main goal, was to get Russell Wilson's signature. So when we were after camp and we're standing in the line and, you know, some of the football players are going over, Kevin and I found a little lost boy who I love named Liam, and he was like little, and you know there's all these adults pushing and whatever, so Kevin and I decided that we were just going to take Liam and protect him and get him some autographs, because Kevin and I are really big on autographs. You know,
I had the GoPro. I didn't really want anyone. Yeah.
I had a microphone that, anyway, it's not.
She was taking audio for me. I'm like with my GoPro, so I really don't need a signature on that.
And I just, you know, autographs, they're great, but necessarily if there's a kid in front of me, he's getting it and I'm not. So we're helping Liam get this autograph, and Russell Wilson finally comes over after a while, and he does do some autographs, and he's going ahead of us, and he's about to go past us, and we have the two kids by us. I have Liam, and then down the road is the little 5-year-old fan who's like so super excited, but there's adults surrounding her. He passed her up on accident, and I have never seen a 5-year-old cry, have their little heart broken over football in my entire life. So I'm really trying to figure out how to get Russell Wilson's autograph on anything to send it to this little girl. She was so sweet.
Without breaking your bank, getting Russell Wilson's autograph on like something.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
We have a website.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think watching that little girl cry was tough, but of course, me being comedy, I think it was to Eileen, who was next to me. It was either Eileen or no, I think it would have been my girlfriend, and I just said, "And a Patriots fan is born."
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I felt so bad for her though. Like, I just felt it.
Yeah, her heart was pretty broken.
Yeah, I am going to do everything in my power to see if I can get her a Russell Wilson autograph, anything. And I talked to her mom, and I'm like, does she have to like get it physically, or can it just be? And her mom said it could just be. And I was like, give me your contact information. Like, I almost cried twice in one day. It was a good day though. And then we ate sushi, and then we went to fries, and then...
Okay, clarification on the sushi, because I had sushi. You had avocado rolls because you're a vegetarian. I had a sushi adventure. You had rabbit food.
True. Because I also had a seaweed salad, and rabbits don't eat seaweed salad. How do I know? They can't get it. I don't know if rabbits can successfully swim and collect algae. I'm not sure if that works out. Either way, I still had to stop taking away privileges from the vegetarian. We don't like it. And I had a California roll, and it has imitation
it's
crab.
fake crab, which doesn't have meat in it. Doesn't necessarily have meat in it. Yeah.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. But I still ate sushi. I was in a sushi place, and there was sushi. So rude.
Keep telling yourself that, Rabbit.
Oh my god.
So anyway, what did you...
One person calls me Rabbit. It's over, Norman. It's over. Okay, what are we talking about again? Oh, training games.
Boxing drills.
Oh, Marshawn Lynch? Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch was actually running through the boxing drills with it was the defensive line. So you would see the defensive line go, and then Marshawn Lynch is joking around. I'm sure he doesn't need to strain himself too bad during some of those drills during training camp.
Can I talk about peeing?
Yes, talk about Marshawn Lynch peeing.
So he's going through these boxing drills with Tyler Sniffen, who is our lead Seahawks starter for PFC. And he's been, at training camp, I swear, every day. I don't think that kid does anything but go to training camp at this point. I think that's Tyler Sniffen. I think that's, his career. He's just there all the time. So he's there in the PFC family, and he tells us this story about how, I think it was the first day. Marsh had to pee. And if you know VMAC, I don't know if everybody's been there, but it's right next to Lake Washington. And apparently... Marshawn Lynch just walks over to the edge and just drops trout, sort of, and, pees. And apparently, it probably wasn't, they had a drill set up where they, knew, go get Marshawn.
Pretty much, they were like, okay, if Marshawn walks this way, quickly get something over there to cover him up.
He is such a thug. I love him. I love him. Love Marshawn Lynch. Love him. Love him. He's a little bit open.
Smoke.
Beast mode on. Beast mode, even when he's peeing in Lake Washington. Yeah, so that was pretty funny. But he was
I tried to be Tasmanian devil.
Oh! I was like, are you having a stroke? I thought you were having a stroke and you did it. What was that? That's pretty good. That's Daffy Duck.
Donald?
Yeah,
that's just a whole different series.
I was like, oh, yeah. I don't know. Anyways.
Bugs Bunny. Theme. Yep. We got it, producer.
Got that. Good job.
So anyway, the other thing.
Let's talk about Golden State.
So we saw the return drills at the same time as we were watching the boxing drills. We actually got footage of the return drills because our GoPro was lined up well, and Golden Tate was actually looking pretty good on the return drills. So that's another reason why I don't think we have to worry about our special teams, is because we were able to watch them. There was only about one fumble during those drills. It was a rookie, probably not a very good time to fumble. I'll go back and check the footage to see if I can see exactly who it was, but it was only one big fumble.
Yeah, and we were in an awkward type location.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, we couldn't see.
Yeah, when you're trying to record video, but the guys from NFL Network are standing in front of you, kind of their priority versus your priority when you're in the, not media pass section. So we got the footage that we could, and some of it's actually really good.
Yeah, some of it is really good. I was super impressed. Yeah, so we'll have to release that at some point. It was good. I had fun at training camp, and I'm excited to go back. I'm going back with some of my girls.
And I will be out of town, so I can't go back with the girls.
With the girls. I noticed, though, that we go in shifts where we're, hanging out with all guys, and I'm, the only girl, and then we're hanging out with all girls, and you're, the only guy. It's never, a cohesive... good amount of men versus women. It's always one gender or the other. When we went paddleboarding, it was you and the girls. That's all it was.
Yeah, that's why most of the time you'll notice my phone goes dead from paying attention to something else. But
burn. I don't know if your girlfriend's gonna hear it. Sorry, Megan. Be funny though.
No, I'm just being a jerk. I'm not that mean all the time.
I was gonna say you might want to fix that sentence a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah. So training camp was fun. I can't think of anything else that we really saw other than, a lot of really awesome things. I'm hoping that we can get Carson Wiggs, our friend Carson, on the show sometime. He's out there kicking balls.
I like his Twitter account where it's his description is just I kick balls.
I kick balls. He doesn't even say
Go follow at WiggyBank on Twitter.
WiggyBank.
Yeah, go follow at WiggyBank on Twitter.
Yeah, Carson is a riot. He says a lot of fun stuff. He's cool. I don't know. He's funny. I am hoping to have him on the show because like we've hung out with him a couple times, so we have some questions that might take him out of left field. So it's really
yeah, we've got that set up. If you're listening, Carson. All right, perfect. Well, that's our show for this week. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah.
Jamie, do you have anything final to say to Seahawks fans out there?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. And
this has been a presentation of the Pro Football Central Network. For news, blogs, highlights, and more, log on to ProFootballCentral.com.